Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I am going to test color filters and specifically an orange filter when shooting black and white film. Now, just to be clear, I am not claiming to have discovered anything revolutionary here. There are thousands of videos online explaining how an orange filter works, so this isn't some secret technique. I am simply putting it to the test myself, experimenting with the orange filter in different lighting conditions to see how it performs in real world scenarios. For my tests, I used Kodak T-Max 100 black and white film, and for the camera I used Bessa R with Voigtländer Ultron 35mm lens. So some vignetting is visible in the corners of my test photos. I took the same composition with and without the orange filter in the space of around 10 seconds, and the filter I used was Hoya Orange G filter. I think first it is important to establish what color filters do when shooting black and white film. So orange filter sits between yellow and red in terms of let's call it contrast strength or effect strength. Orange filters give stronger effects than yellow filters, but not as dramatic as red filter. It is therefore an ideal choice to span the effects given by both these filters. In essence, if you want to block a color, use a filter of the color opposite on the color spectrum, and this is nicely demonstrated on the color wheel here. Think in black and white terms. When you block a color when shooting black and white film, that color becomes darker and the transposed color becomes brighter. Let's look at some examples I took at the beach on a sunny day with a clear blue sky. This is a good example to demonstrate the correlation between transposed and blocked colors, where the sun on the photographs with orange filter is much brighter than on the photos without the filter. Also, the sky is noticeably darker with orange filter applied, and this is the case on most of the photographs taken that day. So in theory, if you are using a pure orange filter, then anything that is pure blue will be black, or let's say darker in the picture, and anything that is pure orange will be white, or let's say brighter. So the closer something is to the filter color, the closer to white it will be. So with an orange filter, orange things and yellow-orange things, or even light brown things, will be lighter shade of gray, like the sun in my examples. And the farther something is from the filter color on the color wheel, the closer to black it will be. So with an orange filter, blue things like blue sky in my scenario are darker shade of gray. Let's look at another example. Orange, yellow and brownish areas are lighter shade of gray, and sky appears to be slightly darker. It is important to note that majority of filters are not made from a single pure color, rather they are precisely engineered to affect specific color ranges. Likewise, colors in the nature are rarely found in their pure state. Filters differ in their ability to isolate specific colors, with highly selective filters transmitting only a narrow range of wavelengths and blocking even closer related tones. This is obviously a simplified overview. In reality, each filter has its own transmission curve that determines how much light at each wavelength is allowed through. To compensate for blocked light, I used a filter factor of 3, as stated by filter manufacturer, which translates to 1 2/3 of exposure stop. I will link this table from Wikipedia in the description of this video. It is important to note that I have measured my exposure through the viewfinder on my Bessa R and compensated manually by adjusting shutter speed, since the camera I used is a rangefinder and the exposure is not measured through the lens. There are hundreds of articles online about the difference between metering through the filter or just applying a filter factor. And spot metering through the filter takes this into account automatically. So the reason for metering through the filter is that you can compensate light readings of different areas of shade, midtones and highlights in your scene with and without the filter to decide which exposure is most reliable. Applying factors can't do that. Whether you measure exposure through the filter or just use the filter factor, both methods come with some margin of error, especially with stronger filters. I would be very interested in your experience with color filters and specifically orange filter. If you get a minute, please drop me a comment below. And with that being said, we got to the end of today's orange filter shenanigans. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking and subscribing. Thank you for watching, and till the next one.